Hello, everybody. Marcus C. Williams here on WRFZ 106.3. Thank you for tuning into The Divide. We are a little behind schedule, but just the way that nature abhors a vacuum, the actual radio abhors silence. And there's been a lot of silence lately from our elected officials on crime, on violence, and on a lot of the very serious issues that face us every single day. So I thank you for tuning in today. Even if we are a little late, make sure that if you're watching us online, like, share, subscribe. Definitely make sure that you're sharing out our content so that way we can reach the maximum number of people and we can get more views so that we can share more news and points of view with you, your friends, and everybody. So let's get into it. Lately, we've seen a lot of different things going on across the world and in the United States. And man, boy, howdy, let me tell you, is it something else? We've got this whole presidential election going on. And as you guys know, I'm not a real big fan of talking about the presidential election because I firmly believe that the presidential election is just a whole bunch of trickery. It's a scam. It's a mockery. It's a shemockery, okay? That's what it is. That's what the presidential election is. It's a grievous distraction from what's really going on in our nation because the president only has a limited amount of power and a limited amount of scope, and what they can do is only ever so limited. But when a lot of people think of the president, they're like, oh, everything is the president's fault, or oh, the president has to solve everything. That's not how any of it works. The majority of the serious impacts that actually hit you upside your head every day come from laws that are passed on the local and state level. That's why I'm continuously advocating for people to actually start to participate in their local government by things like going to your local board of education meeting if that's your thing because you love schools and you're concerned about the education of the children. Go to your local city council meeting or town council meeting if that's where you're at, if you don't like the property taxes or the property laws or the way that they're doing the streets or whatever the case may be. There's also always your county ledge, depending on where you live, your county legislature. Go get involved. Right now, more than ever, we need people to get involved in politics, right? Now, maybe that looks like you going out and helping and supporting a candidate. For instance, I'm running for state assembly in the 137th state district for New York State. I'm running this year because I care, because you guys matter to me, because my country matters to me, because American citizens matter to me. And I know if you're watching this, they probably matter to you too, or listening to. But we've got so many issues going on right now that go unaddressed because everybody is distracted. They're distracted by the president. They're like, oh, orange man bad. Oh, Commie Harris bad. Oh. Listen, you pick who you want for the president. I've already said many a times who and why I'd be voting for whom I'm voting for. And it's definitely not Kamala Harris because I can't deal. Not with her. Definitely not for sure with her far left liberalist agenda. And it's not even liberalist, right? Like it's completely socialist communist. And when people say socialist and communist, they're usually like, oh, well, it's a nice thing. No, I do not believe in complete government control over every aspect of society. Then you got these people out here that are like, oh, well, I'm anti-fascist. How could you support any of these people? You support Kamala Harris? She wants to put more power in the government. Half of these people out here that claim that they're anti-fascist want to put more power in the hands of government. How diluted does that sound? And that's me being nice because I'm on the air. I've got some other colorful language to call it, and I'm sure that you probably do too. But the fact of the matter is when we focus on things like the federal election, for instance, specifically the presidential election, we do ourselves a disservice by just completely disregarding state level races. And that's where all of the laws are made that almost affect you every day. But really, it's a civics issue. People don't know what levels of government are what and what does what. But aside from that, we also have the serious issue that it's been so, how would you say it, tribalized, teamified, gangified, okay, that it's my team, my gang, so much that people aren't even really paying attention to what's actually going on. They don't care about the actual issues. And most of the people aren't able to explain to you what the actual issues are. Now, every now and then we get a decent candidate that's running and they can tell you about the issues. They can tell you about the policies. They can tell you about what they can do from their specific part of their office. But most of the people that are going for office don't have any of that to show you nor to tell you. And that is a very, very serious issue. So it's up to you as an American citizen to go and demand from them what they want to do in policy, what they've done if they're already in office, because that's important, and not just good flowery words that sound nice. Nobody, we're not with that anymore. We're demanding tangibles. American citizens need to be demanding tangibles. We need to pretend like we're from, where's the state? Is it Iowa, Idaho? We're the show me state, okay? You know? You got to show me. Don't tell me no more. They've been telling us this for years. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to harp on Harris, their people, because those are the socialists, right? Those are the communists. Those are the far left people, the Green New Deal people, the people that promise you all of this flowerful stuff while they're purposefully collapsing the economy and putting more power in the hand of the federal government. Hello, fascism 101. What is fascism? Fascism is defined as a government that controls every aspect of society, okay? Every aspect of manufacturing, of the means of production. You know, this is very important. You don't want the government to be in complete control of the means of production or price rigging and stuff like that, like Harris has stated and things like that. Like, that's absurd. And you better really ask yourself, how would she do that, right? Because it's not her. She doesn't have that ability. Again, this goes back to how they're duping everybody. They don't have that ability. That goes through the cabinet. That goes through the cabinet. So I believe, personally, this is me, I believe anybody that's running for president, I need to see a cabinet off the bat. You running for president, I want to know who you're going to do to what in which positions. Don't tell me at the 11th hour. Don't tell me after the election is over. I want to know who's going into the position. I want to know who's going to be the head of the Department of Energy, who's going to be the head of the Department of Agriculture, the Department of the Interior, the Department of Defense, all of that. I want to know all of those people, because those people, but I want to know who's going to be the head of the Department of Transportation. Definitely the Department of Transportation. I got so much stuff to say about the Department of Transportation. It's not even funny. Pete Buttigieg, where's that $7 billion that you use to supposed to make all of these electronic charging stations, and you made two, and one of them doesn't even work? Where's the money, Buttigieg? Okay, so this is what we need to have this real conversation about. We like picking all of these people that are all fuzzy and make you feel good. I don't want somebody that's fuzzy and makes me feel good. I want somebody with a real plan, with a real team to go in there and actually make a difference. But this is what the issue is with so many people not understanding how our government actually works and the levels of bureaucracy that are there within. That's why the Democrats got so mad at Project 2025, because it's trying to remove all of their liberal agenda outside of all of these agencies. They're like, oh, it's going to shut down this, it's going to shut down that. It's not going to shut that down. It's going to trim it down. Listen, if you know me, if you listen to the show, you know that I am for completely stripping all of the responsibilities away from the federal government. I believe that should be on the local government and some on the state. We need to return to individual sovereignty, okay, as sovereign individuals, and be able to chart our own destiny. We need an American revival of not just spirit, but of morals, of values, and of traditions. We have gone so far away from the source in America right now. We've got people that are actively championing things like socialism and communism in a country that has long fought against socialism and communism. We defeated the Nazis. We defeated the Russians, even though the Russians was more of I shouldn't say Russia, right? I should say USSR, right? But even though that the Russians were more of an economic defeat than a military defeat, even though we did stack up some good victories in some, I guess, what would you call that? Proxy wars. We still got proxy wars with them. And this is the whole thing, right? It's crazy. As Russia has moved away from communism, okay, you say what you want about Putin, right? That's how you personally feel. I'm only here to talk facts, right? As they move more away from communism and more to a representative type of republic, or as some people would like to say, as a democracy, but it's not really a democracy either, just like America is a representational republic, okay? As Russia's moved more towards that direction, they've taken on more of the traditional values that America has, and America's taken on more of the traditional values of the USSR, the United Soviet States of Russia. What is happening here? We've got more of the values of the National Socialist Workers Party, that's the Nazis people, in America right now than we do than actual American values. What is going on? And people are out there propagating these values on a daily basis, but we don't talk about it. But it gets put into our bureaucracy by these individuals who have all of these thoughts, feelings, and ability to implement policies, right, on the bureaucratic level. That's all of these departments that control all of this different stuff across the federal government. Again, I mentioned some earlier: Department of Energy, Department of Transportation, Interior, Department of Interior, Defense, and all of that stuff. If I was the president, the first thing I would do is change the name of the Department of Defense back to the Department of War. That sounds way better to me, okay? And we need to let people know what time it is, that we ain't playing these pansy pokey games out here, okay, which is what it looks like America is about now. Weakness and dependence is the way our government is driving the American people, and that is a serious problem, a very serious problem. You should not be dependent on your government. You should be able to be dependent on your own two hands, on your family, and on what you can add to service in our nation. But basically, they strip that concept away, and they want you to focus solely and wholly on the ability of what the government can do for you. You know, and I got to be honest, I like a lot of the direction that JFK was going and stuff like that. But, you know, he made a statement one time, and I think a lot of people took it wrong. He said, ask not what you can do for your country, but ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Something like that. That's my Kennedy Bostonian accent. Okay, don't judge me, all right? But, you know, and really, I think a lot of people misunderstood that statement, because he's saying that you shouldn't depend on the government, that you shouldn't have confidence in your government. But what can you do as a citizen to fix the direction of our nation, to actually stand up to our government and demand action in the different ways that are necessary? We've got this whole concept right now where me, what can the government give me? Well, the government ain't giving you nothing, but they're giving all these illegal aliens a whole bunch of stuff, aren't they? So the government has prioritized these illegal aliens. Now, who are the people that are prioritizing these illegal aliens? And you might be like, well, Marcus, but they need help too. But I see American veterans out on the street every day, starving, homeless, no shoes, no socks, tattered clothes. Hello? I see parents with children out on the streets, starving, homeless, tattered clothes. I see a crazy epidemic of drug use, that because the drugs are pervading our country, that are flooding through our border, but more so than that, not just flooding through our border, but being created inside the United States by international gangs, not just the Venezuelans, the Chinese also. Can we talk about that? And you can't tell me that the cartel ain't in on a lot of this stuff too. Okay? But comparatively, like, the cartel can't keep up with these Chinese gangsters. The cartel can't keep up with these Venezuelan gangsters. The cartel is gangster, but they ain't that level of gangster. And if we really want to see who's really gangster, we're starting to see it in our own country right now, with the Venezuelans taking over stuff. I was telling somebody earlier, you know, the destruction and the decrepity that is going on in California. But aside from all of the homelessness and the drug use and all of that, I really believe that the whole concept of what's going on in California is to completely destroy both the economy and the numbers of people in California, so that the Chinese can take over California. Now, you might say, oh, well, Marcus, hold on. How could you say something like that? Because how could they possibly put somebody that doesn't speak any English, that is not an American citizen, that only speaks Chinese, that is a Chinese citizen in charge of elections in California. Look it up. That's a real thing. Look it up. Don't speak not a lick of English, only speaks Chinese, is not even an American citizen. They're putting her in charge of elections over there. I want to say it's San Francisco, but I forget the specific county. Come on now, what are we doing? And why are they running out people over there so far? And you say, well, Marcus, that's a bit much to consider that. Is it? Is it a bit much? China has declared unrestricted warfare against the United States. And just because they ain't going pew pew or boom boom doesn't mean that they're not attacking us. We know that they're attacking us economically. Okay, they're not only economically disenfranchising us, they're forcing America to become economic dependent on them. And that is a very serious issue. That's why you hear people talking on both sides about reshoring American jobs, because that's exactly what needs to be done. That's how we build back up our economy. That's how we build back up our people. But at the same time, when we talk about that, we also have to talk about who has the massive control on exports and imports. And it ain't us. We used to be a large exporter before the 90s came, and NAFTA came with Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, okay, shutting everything down and sending it overseas. And even as a small child, I didn't understand that concept, because I was like, wait a second, if you send the jobs overseas, then people here won't have the jobs to buy the products. And what happened? We saw a race to the bottom, a price war to the bottom, and now the quality of everything is so crazy, ridiculously terrible that you barely want to go out and buy anything because it's going to break in 2 weeks, and now you got to spend a fortune to get it fixed. But you can't even do that because you got to pay all the other crazy things, because you got to pay the government for everything that the government is subsidizing. Healthcare is $1 billion. You want healthcare, you got to spend a whole bunch. I was just listening to somebody was like, yeah, me and my husband switched jobs. We had to change insurance, and we had to pay for 3 months of carryover fee, which was like $15,000. That don't even make any sense to me. It doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, I'm sure that there's some underlying other stuff going on there. But the fact is that is a real life experience of many people that I do know. Maybe it's not $15,000 for 2 people. Like, I don't know how many other people were in their household, but for like 2 people to carry it over for 3 months, like $5,000-$6,000, like $3,000 a month, $2,000 a month. For a family of 2. I know people that are paying the majority of their paycheck into healthcare, which is crazy in this country because the quality of everything has gone down so much. The commercialization of everything has gone up so much. The corporatization of everything has gone up so much. Everything has completely become, I don't know what you would want to call it, inferior in quality is a general nice way to say it. Okay, but really poisonous and decrepit is what I would describe it as. We have a healthcare industry, which is not a healthcare industry. Okay, first of all, it's a medical industrial complex, and that is really just to serve the point of just keeping you alive just enough that you can continue to pay into the system and you don't die, so that they can make more money off. A friend of mine used to be a director of health for a major hospital, and they told me that they had to leave that job because their conscience just couldn't take it anymore. They said the only time that the hospital has a good day is when you have a bad day. I said, ain't that about right? Because you turn on the TV, you're watching something, you look at the drugs, let's just say arbitrolol, right? Like, I'm just making up something, but that sounds like something that they could name some stuff, because they're coming up with these crazy names. I don't know where they get these names from. They'd be like, yes, this will help you with your chronic migraines or something like that. And they'll be like, may cause heart disease, may cause gout, may cause tendonitis, may cause you to have a psychotic break from society, might cause you to slowly lose your limbs. Like, what? What is going on? But these are the drugs that are being pumped in society. We've got something like 70% of all adults are on RX drugs. Hello, is anybody listening? Are we being real right now? And I'd like to remind you that you guys, if you're watching us right now, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Definitely subscribe if you're watching us online. If you're on X, subscribe, like, share. If you're watching us right now on X, I know a lot of you guys watch us on X, share. If you guys aren't following us on X and you're following us on YouTube or Rumble or wherever we are, especially on YouTube on the Marcus C. Williams channel, make sure that you are sharing it out. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, make sure that you share it. Okay, if you're on LinkedIn, make sure that you share it. That is the best thing that you guys can do to help us out. And we rarely ever ask you for anything. Do that for us. It'll be awesome. We love you so much. And if you're listening to us on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio, right here in the heart of Cornhill in Rochester, make sure that you tell all your friends, your family, and some of your enemies too. Tune in every Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. on WRFZ 106.3 and tell them they got some real people talking about some real stuff that's real important for you to hear. We're getting real in your ear. Okay, now let's talk more about this medical industrial complex, right? Because I'm not done. I didn't get back over to manufacturing yet, right? But the medical industrial complex produces all of these things that require you to get more things. And then years later, like I love the, I saw the commercial. I remember the commercial for all of these different medical malpractice type of things where they're like, oh, did you get this? Oh, did you get that? Now this is 20 years later. Now we're finding out that it was poisonous and they knew the whole time. Like I saw something about vaginal mesh, okay, on the TV. They're like, if you've ever gotten vaginal mesh inserted, you may be entitled to funds. What? You're putting something corrosive inside somebody's vaginal canal that's harmful to their health? What are you doing? You're putting something inside, like with the what is it? I was gonna say IEDs. IUDs? You know, with the things that it's one of those. If you're not familiar, and maybe I'm putting the letters out of order, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. IUDs that are the birth control thing. This thing that they stick inside you. Now we've known for decades that a lot of those things sterilize females, okay? And it's been a serious problem. Like I'm not making this up. You can go look this up. Like this has been a serious issue. And we don't talk about that. But we know that it has happened. We know that, and not on a small scale either, on a large scale. I got some stories I could tell you about that, but we're not going to get into that on this because other people have other types of feelings. And I ain't got time for that today. We're talking on a different topic. I won't go into that too much. But they're putting stuff inside people that are sterilizing. We know right now that they're giving people medicine for high blood pressure and for low blood pressure that are giving people brain bleeds. Hello. What are we doing here? What are we doing here at all? You know, and it's crazy. You know, they had the Ozempic, right? The Ozempic was a big deal. It's probably still a big deal in certain circles. Helps you lose fat. I don't even remember what Ozempic was originally for, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that. I feel like it was originally regulating blood sugar, maybe. And I don't even think that it was that. I think it was something completely separate from that. But also, apparently, it increases fertility. Now, I don't know how it does that. I got a lot of questions on that. But apparently, it's got a whole bunch of people that are on Ozempic popping out more babies. Now, I don't know whether that's skinny and now they're getting a whole bunch more action or whatever the situation is. But it seems like it's increasing fertility. I don't know what the situation is there. You'd have to go and look into it in detail. But the point of the matter is that it's all this medicine and stuff that they're giving you that they tell you it's for one thing. It does 8 other things. Most of them are very harmful. It's like what do you call them? The antidepressant pills. There's antidepressants. There we go. That's the word. These antidepressant pills. You take the antidepressant pills. The number one thing on an antidepressant pill is may increase thoughts of suicide. How is that even possible? It's supposed to stop you from being depressed. In my head, thinking about suicide is something that you only do if you're depressed. So the question is really, what are they doing to the people? But can we have that conversation? And I'd argue that the answer is no, we can't have that conversation because they don't want us to have that conversation because it's a serious and real conversation. Okay. Now, I also encourage you guys to stay hydrated and drink water. I'm going to have a drink right now. It's a little hot in here and I need some water and I need to hydrate and I encourage you to hydrate too. Maybe we'll get somebody on here to sponsor us with water. But the whole thing is so disgusting, man. It really honestly makes you want to spit. It's so frustrating. And that's just the medical industrial complex, right? If we start talking about the technological industrial complex and the technocrats, okay, then people will really get up in arms. Because I got a lot to say about the technocrats, okay, and we need to do probably a whole episode on that. So I'm not even going to go into that too much. Go look up what a technocracy is, okay, because that's the direction that we're going, okay, and it really got really big with Anthony Fauci. A technocracy essentially is where the people that allegedly are highly technically skilled are the ones that make all of the decisions and stuff like that. But really the way that it plays out is that these tech moguls and stuff like that, and people in biomed and stuff like that, and all of these corporatists are the ones who make the decisions on absolutely everything. And that is a very, very, very serious problem, and very, very, very dangerous, because it's kind of like an oligarchy, but it's worse because these people think that they know best for you because they're the smartest of what they can do. Alleged. There's an English statement. It's in English in England in a colloquial speak. They say experts are experts on F all. Okay, because I can't say it on the radio. I'm pretty sure that's one of the words that you can't say on the radio. But they say experts are experts on F all. Basically, they're experts on their one little thing, and they're not even really experts on that, because if you give them other information that is able to be presented that counters what goes contrary to what they believe personally, they'll refuse to accept it. But I'll give you a great example. Neil deGrasse Tyson is one of those experts that's an expert on F all. Okay, he comments on literally everything else that is not astrophysics. This man is an astrophysicist, but he knows so much about everything. Somebody make it make sense to me. And I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. Don't get it twisted. I've come to less love him lately because he's been on a whole bunch of extra stuff. He always been on some old other stuff, but he done been on some old extra stuff with this politics nonsense. Now, I don't care about your politics, bro. I care about your astrophysicist stuff, which is a whole conversation on astrophysiology and the Bible and a whole bunch of other stuff there. Blah, blah, blah. What do you call it? The firmament, da, 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 bing, bang, boom, underwater, da, 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 da. Whole bunch of other stuff. That you can look into on your own time if that's the type of stuff that strokes your boat. Okay. Yes, I am just on here making up phrases. Yes, I do that sometimes. Okay. So here's what we got going on. Aside from the technocrats and the medical industrial complex, we have the military industrial complex. We just saw over the weekend Dick Cheney, this mass murdering dick, right? Like it's in his name. Like he couldn't have a better, like unless his last name was Head, like he couldn't have a better name. This man, the king of blood for oil, the king of blood for oil, the man who got so many of our military men and women murdered, maimed, and massacred in the Middle East. Okay, now